Hi everyone. So today we are going to continue on Parajumbles. It is going to be a short class of 30 to 40 minutes because I know how monotonous it gets and how much overwhelming or overloaded it gets when there are a lot of Parajumble questions in one session. Every question, as I said, has a new strategy, is a new challenge, and so will happen in the exam. Although it is all about strategy, at the place with the question, it is question specific strategy, but the foundation remains the same and the key is practice. That is why in every parajumble class, I make sure that I remind to you that I give a recap of the strategies that you have to follow while approaching any question and the main strategy, main approach about how to crack each question individually is something that will come with practice, with right practice, and that you can easily develop by practicing along with an instructor. Because I parajumbles can be something that can be solved by everybody, but when it comes to exams, solving it in a stipulated time within a limited time, which is already not sufficient, becomes a challenge. So, not just getting the answer, but getting the answer quickly, maybe not even by reading all the options or all the statements. If you can get an answer, nothing like it. After all, it's all about cracking the exam, scoring right, getting more numbers. Nobody's going to ask you if you read the entire sequence, all the questions, or not. Have you cracked it by putting effort on every sequence given in the options, or by just picking out a pair? Nothing matters. What matters is how quickly you get the right answer. Now, having said that, quick recap of whatever I have spoken of in past three classes about parajumbles. It was all about trying to pick the most suitable pair and then eliminate the options that do not have that pair. Once you find the option, always cross check, use cues based on grammar, chronology, articles, connectors, obvious logical formations. Seeing that idea comes before example, moving from generic to a specific idea. A bigger magnitude comes first, and a smaller magnitude issue comes later. And some reminders that not always a concluding statement will seem like a concluding statement, or a starting statement will seem to be a starting statement. Because the paragraph that you're going to pick is supposed to be complete in itself, it may not be sounding complete when seen from the perspective of the first sentence or the last sentence. In the limited scope that you are given, you are supposed to find out the right sequence. We saw that there are questions, different type of questions. We practiced a lot of them, and let's begin now about, by starting with the question that we left in the last class. So this particular question, I think, was done already. This was just to remind you, give a flashback. We'll move to another question. So here is a question flashing on your screen. I'll read out. It may not be visible to you because of my video in the top right corner. I'll read it out and request you to make a note in your mind. Option A. To avoid this, the QURTY layout put the keys most likely to be hit in rapid successions on opposite sides. This made the keyboard slow, the story goes, but that was the idea. A different layout, which had been patented by August Dvorak in 1936, was shown to be much faster. The QWERTY design, patented by Christopher Sholes in 1868 and sold to Remington in 1873, aimed to solve a mechanical problem of early typewriters. Yet the Dvorak layout has never been widely adopted, even though with electric typewriters and then PCs, the anti-jamming rationale for QWERTY has been defunct for years now. When certain combinations of keys were struck quickly, the type bars often jammed. Go ahead, look at the options, and then we shall explore it together. So, guys, are you done? Let's begin. So, see, I went through all the statements and I found that there is a very suitable pair. Let's see option C. It says that the QWERTY design aimed to solve a mechanical problem of early typewriters. And that problem, mechanical problem, was that option E, when certain combination of keys were struck quickly, the type bars often jammed. So C के बाद E ही आएगा. And I can see that option 2 is definitely the one that has this pair. Okay. I'm sorry, option 3 should have been B, C, E, D, A. So even 2 and 3 both have this particular pair C and E. Now, if I see that what option C has to say, B has to say, C has to say rather, it says that before CE, B should have come. B said that a different layout patented by August Dorak. Different from what? So it cannot precede option C. So definitely CE starts are the starters, and so option 2 is right. But we do not choose this right away. Let's क्रॉस चेक. देखते हैं सी और ई के बाद जो आते हैं सेंटेंसेस गिवन सीक्वेंस में मीनिंग बनाते हैं कि नहीं. ए कहता है to avoid this, avoid what? Avoid the type bars being jammed, which is mentioned in E. A says that to avoid this, the QWERTY layout put the keys most likely to hit in rapid succession on opposite sides. This made the keyboard slow. The story goes, but that was the idea. A different layout patented by August Dorak was shown to be much faster, and then they said that yet, even though it was fast, D says this layout has never been widely adopted, even though the anti-jamming rationale for QWERTY has been defunct for years now. So I see that CE was the right pair. I found it. I eliminated 1 and 4. I found out of 2 and 3 2 to be more suitable, and I went for CEABD and I cross checked. These were the stages, the steps in the same order. This will basically remain same. Let's move to another. To be culturally literate is to possess the basic information needed to thrive in the modern world. Nor is it confined to one social class, quite the contrary. It is by no means confined to culture, narrowly understood as an acquaintance with the arts. Cultural literacy constitutes the only sure avenue of opportunity for disadvantaged children, the only reliable way of combating the social determinism that now condemns them. The breadth of that information is great, extending over the major domains of human activity, from sports to science. So go ahead and choose out of the given options. Choose between one and two, guys. I think this was pretty simple. So, shall we start discussing? Yes, let us. Okay. As I say it in every class, if you have any doubt, mention it in the comments, and then I'll get back to you individually to the comment section itself. Okay. So, I see that there is a very easy pair over here. Read C. It says that it is by no means confined to culture, narrowly understood as an acquaintance with the arts. Nor is it confined to one social class, quite the contrary. CB is present in option 1 too. What now? Let's look at first A. Option A says A will come first. To be culturally literate is to possess so and so, and then says the breadth of that information is great, extending over the major domains of human activity from sports to science. Makes sense? It is by no means confined to culture narrowly understood as an acquaintance with the art, nor is it confined to one social class, quite the contrary. Literacy constitutes the only sure avenue of opportunity for disadvantaged children, the only reliable way of combating social determinism that now condemns them. So, very easy. One is definitely the right sequence. Very well opening that what is it to be cultural literate? It is to possess the basic information, and the breadth of this information is great, which is mentioned in A. It extends over human activity from sports to science. And then C says it's not confined to culture, although understood so. And then B says, extends and says it is also not confined to one social class. And then D concludes it very well by sort of mentioning the outcome or utility of this understanding of cultural literacy, this clarification on cultural literacy. And this says that literacy, sorry, constitutes the only sure avenue of opportunity for disadvantaged children, the only reliable way of combating the social determinism that now condemns them. Well and good. A so hence AECBD is the right sequence. Now, yet another question. I see that we do not have options over here. Okay, let's try to crack it as it is given. Okay, so let's begin. So this is be a different type. Here you'll have to make your own sequence. This will be this will give you a breather from choosing between option, and also what if you are not able to find a pair. Of course, there can be a time when you'll not find a pair, but the question will be such logically that you'll be easily able to understand. Okay, so the sentences given in each question, when properly sequenced, form a paragraph. Find the right sequence. I'm much more intolerant of a human being's shortcomings than I am of an animal's. But in this respect, I have been lucky, for most of the people have come across have been charming. Then you come across the unpleasant human animal. The district officer who drawled, "We chaps are here to help you chaps," and then proceeded to be as obstructive as possible. In these cases, of course, the fact that you are an animal collector helps. People always seem delighted to meet someone with such unusual occupation and go out of their way to assist you. Fortunately, these types are rare, and the pleasant ones I have met more than compensated for them. But even so, I think I'll stick to animals. When you travel around the world collecting animals, you also, of necessity, collect human beings. Go ahead, make a sequence on a notebook. I'll give little more time, around a minute, because this is little tough. So, I think it will start with when you travel around the world collecting animals, you also, of necessity, collect human beings. Okay? Then will come A. I'm much more intolerant of a human being's shortcomings than I am of an animal's. But in this respect, I have been lucky, for most of the people I have come across have been charming. Now they say that then you come across unpleasant human animal, the district officer who drawled, "We're here to help you, but we are very obstructive." Right? Then it says that in these cases where you meet unpleasant animal, the fact that you're an animal collector helps. Okay, so after B it should be D. They say that fortunately these types are rare. Which types? So the types that actually are obstructive. Oh, ironically, when they say that they're here to help, this says that fortunately these types are rare, and the pleasant ones that I have met more than compensated for them. But even so, I think I'll stick to animals. And in these cases, of course, the fact that you are an animal collector, in these cases, unpleasant human cases, people always seem delighted to meet someone with such an unusual occupation and go out of the way to assist you. Done? This will be the right sequence. Now let's go to next question. A, B, C, D, E, F, six options. Find out the right sequence out of one, two, three, four, and we start. Here we start. The questioning teens will view the videos and realize life can get better. In response to a recent spate of suicides of gay youth, Dan Savage and his partner Terry Miller developed It Gets Better, a video project that has inspired tens of thousands of LGBT people to post short positive videos on YouTube. It is just one example of digital media providing a support network for LGBT youth. It Gets Better has garnered over 10 million views and has drawn national media attention. Social media provides an outlet for making queer friendship and friends and straight allies, and allows organizations like the University of Washington's Q Center, an on campus safe haven resource and activism center, to reach enormous number of people for rallies, petitions, and events. Other websites like Trevor Project, Matthews Place, and GLAD provide resources, forums, and counseling to gay youth who may be living in intolerant or unequipped regions, communities, or families. Options are given. Take a minute and then we shall start. Done. So, guys, let's start. I have given you enough time. See, one obvious pair that I found was in response to a recent spate of suicide of gay youth, Dan Savage and his partner developed video "It Gets Better" that inspires tens of thousands of LGBT people to post short positive videos on YouTube. This will be option B, and it will be followed by A, which explains what is it that is happening, what is the motive, what will that video do. It says that the questioning teens will view the videos and realize life can get better. So it very well uh, thinks with "it gets better," right? It very well justifies the captions "it gets better." So B will be followed by A. So BA is only in one. Great. Eliminated 2, 3, 4 instantly. But no, you are not going to right away mark 1. You'll quickly check if BA के बाद बाकी sequences सही है कि नहीं. After BA comes D. D says that Gets Better has garnered over 10 million views. So it is again talking about Gets Better and says how it has garnered 10 million views. Then comes C. He says that this whole thing, the 3 points BAD that spoke about, it gets better. This is just one example of digital media providing a support, and the other examples are mentioned in F, as other websites like XYZ are counseling to gay youth who may be living in intolerant or unequipped regions, communities, or families. Then E becomes a very good conclusion and logically follows F by summarizing and saying that the social media provides an outlet for making queer friends and straight allies, and allows organizations like the University of Washington's Q Center, an on campus safe haven resource and activism center, to reach enormous numbers of people for rallies, petitions, and events. Great. So I found that one is spot on. You can see that how quickly we could find out. इतना बड़ा दिख रहा था, इतना लंबा है, 6 ऑप्शंस है, कंफ्यूजिंग भी है, और सीक्वेंसेस भी ऐसे चूज करने के लिए 6 6 के सीक्वेंसेस हैं. तो बट एक पेयर मुझे मिला और उससे स्ट्रेट अवे मेरा आंसर आ गया. ऐसा बहुत होगा. तो यू कैन ऑलवेज फॉलो दिस अप्रोच. 80% 90% क्वेश्चंस तो हो ही जाएंगे और बहुत जल्दी हो जाएंगे. Now, next. Sentences given in each question, when properly sequenced, form a coherent paragraph. Each sentence is labeled with a letter. Choose the most logical order from given choices. A. The likelihood of an accident is determined by how carefully the motorist drives and how carefully the pedestrian crosses the street. An accident involving a motorist and a pedestrian is such a case. Each must decide how much care to exercise without knowing how careful the other is. The simplest strategic problem arises when two individuals interact with each other, and each must decide what to do without knowing what the other is doing. So, what do you think it is? Take take 30 seconds and then we'll start. So, let's start. See, it is just a four option statement, four option coherent, parajumble. Just four statements. It is easy, of course, but I think you could have easily been able to figure out that D is the starting option because that seems to this ABCD statement seem to talk about some strategic problems, right? So it should begin by introducing strategy. So this is that simple strategic problems arise when two individuals interact and each must decide what to do without knowing what the other is doing. Then it's let's go to B. B says that an accident is such a case involving this. So they're giving an example that this is an ideal strategic problem. तो डी बी मिला और डी बी मुझे थ्री और फोर दोनों ऑप्शन में मिले. नाउ प्रॉब्लम विल बी इन चूजिंग बिटवीन सी ए एंड ए सी. तो अब सी को पढ़ो तो इट सेज दैट each must decide how much to care without knowing how careful the other is. The likelihood of an accident is determined by how carefully the motorist drive and how carefully the pedestrian crosses the street. I think C should come first because D देखोगे ना तो it talks about how they interact and each decide about themselves. तो पहले आएगा exercising carefulness and then will come accident. So of course C will come first, which says that each must decide how much care to exercise without knowing how careful the other is. And then A says that the likelihood of accident is determined by how carefully each drive or how much care did each of them exercise without knowing how much care was the other person exercising. A justifies C further. So we have D, B, C, A as the right sequence, which is number 3. Now, next question. Then I think couple of options are missing. No problem. Let's go to next question. The sentences given are sequenced, the usual starter. Now, A, B, C, D, E options are given, and let me dictate for you. A. Both parties use capital and labor in the struggle to secure property rights. B. The thief spends time and money in his attempt to steal, and and the legitimate property owner expends resources to prevent the theft. A social cost of theft is that both the thief and potential victim use resources to gain or maintain control over property. These costs may escalate as a type of technological arms race unfolds. A bank may purchase more and more complicated and sophisticated safes, forcing safe crackers to invest further in safe cracking equipment. Go ahead, take a minute, and then we will solve this together. I think we can start. A minute is over. So, look at a mandatory pair that I found. He says that a social cost of theft is that both the thief and potential victim use resources to gain or maintain control over property. A says that both parties use capital and labor in the struggle to secure property rights. Okay. The thief, and then it explains it further. ए के बाद बी आएगा ही आएगा, है ना? ए के बाद बी आएगा. तो बी कहता है द thief spends time and money in his attempt to steal, and the legitimate property owner expends resources to prevent the theft. So how both parties use capital and labor is being explained by B. So A B is a pair, but one is in option 1, another is in 2. So 3 and 4 we eliminate straight away. अब A B में देखोगे, सॉरी ऑप्शन 1 और 2 में देखोगे, तो one begins with C, another begins with A. A says both party, but which both parties? C says that. C mention करता है और उसको ये pointer point करता है both parties. A social cost is that both thief and potential victim, these two parties are being uh, talked about in more detail, in further detail, in option A. That is why C A B is the right order. D E check कर लो. D कहता है these costs may escalate as a type of technological arms race unfolds. So, these costs that the thief is spending time and money to steal, and property owner is expending resources to prevent theft. As a technological arms race will unfold between the potential victim and the thief, the cost may escalate. What cost? One cost will be of the thief investing to become a better thief, and another cost will be of the property owner who is getting better using more technology or arms to protect from the thief, and it goes on and on. An example of this will be option E, that Like a bank may purchase more and more complicated and sophisticated safes, which must be expensive, forcing safe crackers to invest further in safe cracking equipment. This is the kind of technological arms race that unfolds, and this is how the cost may escalate. The banker will buy more sophisticated equipment, and the safe crackers will invest to become better in safe cracking and buy a better safe cracking equipment. So, this is how this para will make sense. So, now this was about this video and today's quick session of our Parajumbles. Next class onwards, we'll again have a short Parajumble session with vocabulary so that you finally get a change. It has been a lot of parajumble अब दिमाग ही जंबल हो गया होगा आई completely understand. तो अब चेंज के लिए ना अगले में 3-4 पैराजम्बल्स करेंगे और फिर हम जाएंगे कुछ वोकेबलरी पे. इस तरह से प्रैक्टिस से ना आपका अप्रोच डेवलप होगा. और वोकेबलरी में कोई थ्योरी तो होती नहीं है. इट इज प्योरली अबाउट हैविंग गुड मेमोरी, गुड रिकॉलिंग कैपेसिटी. तो from next class onwards, let's shoot and have questions of vocabulary and parajumbles both. Great. That's it, guys. That's all about today's class. Bye. Take care and hope to see you all in next class. Please do not forget to post comments on how I taught, how I did not. What else do you want to know? If I'm being monotonous, I need to change my teaching style, or if you have any doubts.